Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Anatomy by MNPD. Today we will discuss about the upper limb regions. So basically the upper limb, which is a complex organ, is divided into six main regions that are shoulder, the arm, the elbow, the forearm, wrist and hand. In upper limb, we used to study these regions separately. Each region has its own complex organs such as muscles, ligaments, bony attachments, joints, etc., nerves, vessels. These will be studied separately in each regions. So let's take the first ever region, that is a shoulder. Now shoulder is a complex regions that connects the trunk with upper limb, and it can be considered in three parts, that are pectoral region, scapular region and axilla. The pectoral region, which consists of this broad muscle, pectoralis major muscle, and below this muscle there is another muscle that is called pectoralis minor. Together these muscles along with breast consist of this pectoral region. So let's discuss the scapular region. The scapular region is a region that is closely related to the scapula and humerus along with their muscles. Collectively, this region is called the scapular region. Now, there is an important point in this region, that is this quadrangular space. This quadrangular space is very important in this region. It has four main boundaries. It is quadrangular in shape and has four main boundaries. The superior boundary, that is formed by the subscapularis muscle, the medial boundary, that is formed by the long head of tricep brachii muscle, you can see, and it has a lateral boundary that is formed by this surgical neck of humerus, while it has an inferior boundary that is formed by this teres major muscle. Collectively, these muscles have a space between them that is called this quadrangular space. Now, quadrangular space, there is important point to be remembered is that there are some arteries, veins and nerves that arises from the neck and enter into this quadrangular space, and then it enters into the axilla or some enters into the upper limb. Though what are those nerves and arteries? That are the axillary nerve and posterior circumflex humeral vessels. Together these vessels are present in this region, and they crosses this region and enters into the terminal destinations. You can remember this space by these four crossing fingers. It has this intramuscular space. Its lateral boundary is formed by the surgical neck of humerus, while superior boundary is formed by the teres minor and subscapularis muscle, while medial boundary is formed by the long head of tricep, and inferior boundary that is formed by the teres major muscle. Collectively, this space is called quadrangular space. Here is another picture of quadrangular space. It has, you can see, the posterior circumflex humeral vessel that is red in color, and axillary nerve crosses this joint and enter into the upper limb. Next region is the axilla. Axilla, this is a pyramid shaped space that is present between the side of chest and upper part of this arm. This space is called the axilla. It has a two main parts. It has its base, sorry, it has its apex and it has its base. This space, this is called the axilla. The axilla, it has the apex and its base. The apex is formed by three main boundaries, that is anterior boundary that is formed by the clavicle, medial boundary that is formed by the outer border of first rib, and superior or posterior boundary that is formed by the upper border of scapula. This is the apex of axilla. While when you see the base, it is formed by two folds and medial chest wall. Anterior axillary fold that is formed by the pectoralis major muscle. Posterior axillary fold that is formed by the latissimus dorsi and teres major muscle, while medial boundary is formed by the chest wall. That is all about the axilla. Now let's see the walls of this axilla. It has basically four main walls. As I already mentioned that this space is just like this, and so it would be have a lateral boundary, anterior wall or posterior wall, and medial wall and lateral wall, medial wall, anterior wall, and posterior wall. You can see this space, it has its base, apex, and its base. Together, this space form the axilla. So it would be have an anterior wall and posterior wall and medial wall and lateral wall. Now, when we see this axilla through a superior aspect, it would be have an anterior border that is formed by the pectoralis major muscle and medial border that is formed by the serratus anterior and thoracic wall, while its posterior border is formed by the scapularis teres major and latissimus dorsi muscle, and its lateral border is formed by the intertubercular sulcus that is present between the greater tubercle and lateral tubercle. This is called intertubercular sulcus or biceptal groove. I have already mentioned in the osteology of humerus. Together, these walls form this triangular space that is called axilla. It has its content that are an artery runs that is called the that is basically axillary artery is the continuation of subclavian artery. This is called the axillary artery crosses this part and enters into the upper limb. An axillary sheath, an axillary vein, brachial plexus that is formed in the root of neck, and it enters into the upper limb by crossing this space axilla. It has also axillary lymph nodes and axillary lymph vessels. Together, these are the contents of axilla, axillary lymph nodes, axillary artery, axillary sheath, axillary vein, and brachial plexus. That is all about the axilla. Now let's move towards the region of arms. Arm is basically a region that is present between the forearm and the scapular region or shoulder region. Between the shoulder region and elbow or forearm is the region that is called the arm. Now, when we see the arm through superior aspect by taking the transverse cross section of the arm, it is enclosed in, in this sheath of deep fascia, while this sheath is folded inward and attached into the medial and lateral supracondylar ridges. As I have already mentioned, there is a ridges that is present in the humerus bone, lower extremity of humerus bone. Those ridges are called the medial and lateral supracondylar ridges. This deep fascia is attached into the medial and lateral supracondylar ridge. Hence, it divides the arm into two main regions, that is the anterior region and that is posterior regions. This deep fascia divides the arm into anterior and posterior regions. Each region is separated from the corresponding regions by this deep fascia, and each region has its own muscles, arteries, veins, nerves. So arm is basically divided into two main osseofacial compartment, that is the anterior osseofacial compartment and posterior osseofacial compartment. Now let's discuss each region separately. Now when we discuss the anterior osseofacial compartment, it has two main muscle, that is brachialis and bicep brachii muscle. These two muscles collectively present in the anterior osseofacial compartment. Now when we discuss the contents of this compartment, it has muscles as already mentioned. It has two nerves that are musculocutaneous nerve, a median nerve, and there is another nerve that is called the ulnar nerve. And it has a basilic vein, a brachial artery that is present in the center, while there is also another nerve that is called the radial nerve, but it is not present in the superior aspect of interior compartment. It is present in the inferior compartment of the anterior osseofacial compartment of arm. Now when we see the posterior compartment, it has one muscle that is called tricep, a one long muscle that has three heads, and this muscle is called the tricep muscle. It has also its content that are the radial nerve, the ulnar nerve, and another vessels that is called the profunda artery that is also present in this compartment, and another superior ulnar collateral artery is also present in this compartment. So that's all about the anterior and posterior occipital compartment. Now let's give a quick review. The arm that is closed in the sheath of deep fascia, which is folded inward and enters or attached into the medial and lateral supracondylar ridges. Now let's give a quick review of the arm that is enclosed in the sheath of deep fascia that is folded inward and attached into the medial and lateral supracondylar ridges, and hence divides this arm into two osseofacial compartment, an anterior osseofacial compartment and posterior osseofacial compartment. Each compartment has its own muscles, arteries, veins, and nerves. When we talk about the anterior osseofacial compartment, it has two muscles that are the brachialis and bicep brachii muscle. The bicep brachii muscle has two heads. It has three nerves, that is musculocutaneous nerve of arm, the median nerve, and ulnar nerve that is present in its lower part. Another content are the brachial artery that is present in the centers and basilic veins. Collectively, these are the contents of anterior osseofacial compartment. While when we talk about the posterior osseofacial compartment, it has one muscle that consists of three heads that is called the tricep brachii muscle. So this tricep brachii muscle has three heads. It besides the muscle, it has the nerve that is a radial nerve and ulnar nerve. This radial and ulnar nerve are present in the posterior osseofacial compartment of arm. This is all about the arm. Next region is cuboidal fossa. The cuboidal fossa, which is a triangular shaped depression. When we talk about the boundaries of the cuboidal fossa, it has five main boundaries that are the lateral boundary, which is formed by the brachioradialis muscle, while the medial boundary is formed by the pronator teres muscle, and it has its base, which is formed by the imaginary line crossing from medial to lateral epicondyles, and it has its floor, which is formed by two muscles, the lateral muscle, which is the supinator muscle, while the medial muscle is the brachialis muscle. These two muscles together form the floor of the cuboidal fossa, while its roof consists of skin and fascia covering this whole cuboidal fossa. Now, when we talk about the contents of cuboidal fossa, it has four main contents that you can remember by this MBBR acronym. The MBBR stands for the from medial to lateral, the median nerve, the brachial artery, the bicep tendon, and the radial nerve. Together, these four MBBR forms the content of the cuboidal fossa. And when we study the forearm through superior aspect, we get the forearm like this, a horizontal section. Now, you can see the two bones that are the lateral bone, that is radius, medial bone, that is ulna. Between these two, radial and ulna, there is a strong ligamentous band, that is interosseous membrane. This interosseous membrane serves as a united band that connects the radius and ulna together. Now you can see a wrapping sheath of deep fascia with its interosseous membrane and intramuscular septa divides this forearm into three main compartments that are anterior, a lateral, and posterior compartment. Each compartment has its own muscles, ligaments, and nerves and arteries. When we talk about the anterior compartment, it has eight muscles which are arranged in three main groups that are superficial, intermediate, and deep groups. These groups will be discussed in muscular anatomy of upper limb. And about the lateral compartment, it has two main muscles that are brachioradialis and extensor carpi radialis longus muscle. And the third one is posterior compartments, which has two main group of muscles consisting of total 10 muscles arranged in two groups. That's all about the osseofacial compartment of forearm. Another region is the wrist. The wrist, which consists of two main region, an anterior region which consists of flexor retinaculum and a posterior region which consists of extensor retinaculum. While when we talk about the flexor retinaculum, it is a thickening of deep fascia that holds the long flexor tendon together in position. Now when you see, it stretches across the front of the wrist and converts this concave area of wrist into the osseofacial tunnel. This tunnel is called the carpal tunnel. Let me highlight this part. This tunnel is called carpal tunnel, which is formed by the concavity of the bone of carpal bones and the flexor retinaculum. Together, these forms the carpal tunnel that provides the area for the passage of median nerve and the flexor tendon of thumb and fingers. When we talk about the attachment of this flexor retinaculum, from medially it is attached to two bones that are pisiform bone and hook of Hamet, and laterally it is attached to the tubercle of scaphoid and trapezium bone, while its distal border is attached to another flattened tendon of hand that are aponeurosis, palmar aponeurosis. Now another region of the wrist is the extensor retinaculum. This extensor retinaculum, that is a thickening of deep fascia and stretches across the back of wrist and holds these long tendon in its respective position. Hence, it converts the group of posterior surface of distal end of radius and ulna into 6 different tunnels, while each tunnel is separated from another tunnel by a fibrous septa between them. When we talk about the attachments of this extensor retinaculum, it is attached medially to the pisiform bone and the hook of Hamet and laterally to the distal end of radius. That's all about the flexor and extensor retinaculum. Thank you so much.